Okay, so I have made the decision that I want the new phrase we yell when people simp too hard for waifus to be Gakudo Chop! We need that! Do you know someone who's watching My Dress Up Darling and liking it way too much? Gakudo Chop! Do you know people who are way into isekai harems? Spoiler, a little video might be coming out about that next week. Gakudo Chop! Are you someone who is brought up multiple times when talking about Yu-Gi-Oh? You're maybe in it for the waifus. Wait, no, don't Gakudo chop me. Please don't Gakudo chop me. Anyways, so yeah, this week, Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s. So, we basically pick up where we left off last week. And I'm just going to say this. This was the first episode where I realized I think we only have maybe 13 left. Having a 3-episode arc about getting Roman back is very interesting way to use those episodes, but it was good. Why? Because I felt like Romin was important. And some of you may be saying that, well, if the whole point of the arc is getting Romin back, she's obviously important. I sat through an arc of Cardfight Vanguard where Aichi had to get a team together to fight in a fucking tournament in Singapore, where I never felt that the characters he was bringing on his crazy adventure mattered. Whereas, and yes, I am still not over the Asian Circuit arc. It's been almost 10 years. I'm still mad. But anyways, so yeah. What really mattered about this episode was that it was all about Romin. Everything they were talking about, with her potentially having to give up on her dream and get thrown back into the craziness, it was all put on Front Street, and I really appreciated that. The episode begins, and you just assume, oh, well, she's got her memories back, so obviously she's going to want to go back to everyone. But again, as I brought up with last week, there is that reality of she could be giving it all up just to deal with this insanity for a little bit longer. Like, that is kind of a tough decision to have to make. Now, you could also make the argument, she's 11. She will have many more chances in life to be a musician or whatever she wants. But I think the point was still there, and the emotional core of the whole thing was still there, and that is Romin needs to make that difficult choice of what does she want to do. And of course, naturally, because it's Yu-Gi-Oh!, that has to be made with a duel. But I really dug this duel. I actually quite liked it. I think it's really interesting to have Romin go up against her kind of role model, the person who kind of inspired her to get into music, and the person who's literally offering her her future on a silver platter. To have to kind of break away from that person and say, no, I think there's something just kind of more interesting about that than just like, say, if it was just a random music producer or some shit like that. The idea that they remembered to include that detail of this is person who's important to you, this is who put you on this path, are you going to get rid of it? I think having it be with the person is very good and very interesting, and I like that attention to detail. Oh yeah, the also other little attention to detail I liked in this, I've brought up multiple times that I don't like that the siblings wear that stupid face mask, and I by no means am getting off that mountain. But I do appreciate that when they remove the mask, it always feels like there's a sense of purpose to it. Like, I really like the beginning that when fucking, like, fishing dude comes back and revealed he just sailed around the world to get all these books, even though these guys have a fucking plane and the internet, when he comes back and the guy just takes his mask off to just be like, thank you, my friend. You know what? Seeing how long they keep those stupid masks on to see it come off for that, it feels weirdly important, like it weirdly matters, and I quite dig that. So yeah, they get the books back, and then we don't really touch on that till much later. We do get, of course, the swirly evil Yuga scene where all the kind of like swirly memories are like kind of flooding into his head, and how it's kind of messing with the way he views people. And I like there's a very important way they show that. And when he's first getting the flashbacks, we see some swirly stuff. Then we see the stuff when he was a little kid and he became scared and believing that people were bad and dueling was bad and he's got to do all this crazy shit to it. I like sort of the metaphor of, in his head, this is where he's at right now. Like, he's got that one side of him that has been shown kindness. It's been shown friendship. It's been shown what happens when people have the freedom to make their own decisions. And on the other side of him, it's just like, no, they were bad, they were mean, they do awful things. I have to rule them or destroy them or whatever the hell's going on here. I think just like that very quick, no talking visual metaphor, just like the monochrome images, that's really strong. I quite dig that. But yeah, naturally, the big star of this episode is the duel between Romin and Princess G. And I dig it. I really like the little bit where they just rock out on the guitars, but I kind of like the way the monsters are sort of used. They're obviously going to use the same psychic deck. That's pretty obvious considering the whole episode setup. But then when like Princess G goes into the fusion with Roman's ace and the one little monster, and what I kind of like about that sort of idea is it does sort of show that, because remember, she got the card from Romin. Romin got the card from Princess G. And so sort of like seeing Princess G kind of move that forward and evolve that to create the new fusion monster, I think that's sort of like a neat way to do it. And I remember thinking to myself, oh, that's different. Introduce the main character's ace upgrade through opponent is pretty interesting. But then when you get to Roman's turn and it ends up being something totally different, she does the exact same thing, but it forges a different monster. Just as Romin needs to take her own path in life. And while it still might involve similar things like wanting to duel or wanting to be involved in music, it still needs to be her own unique direction that only she can forge for herself. And that's pretty damn cool. So then, of course, naturally, Romin wins because one of our main characters has to fucking win at this rate. But yeah, so Romin beats Princess G. I assume this is going to be her final duel because, again, we are running out of episodes. And then at the end of it, Kaizo's all like, yay, now we can get back to the show. I'm coming to you, Romin. Let me simp for you. And like I said, Gakudo Chop. We need to make that a thing. Gakudo Chop must be the new going to horny jail. But yeah, no. So then the episode ends with Romin goes back to Yuga's place, and she locks all her like crazy memorabilia stuff in a locker where I assume Kaizo will try and get in there and do ungodly things to it. And then I really liked the apology scene. I really dug that quite a bit. The way it felt very genuine. The actress is directed very well. She felt very genuine, and just like the idea that she lost all her memories of everyone who mattered to her really kind of affected her, and it bothered her, and it got to her. Again, as someone who hates the fact that memory erase subplots almost always just sort of happen and then they're over, to see kind of the effect it has on everybody and how it changes the way they view themselves and their relationships with everybody, I think really shows the writers do care about these characters and really want to do the most they can with them. And also like the little bit at the end there with her, and also I like Gakudo apologizing as well, but I like the whole little bit, that scene just between like her and Luke. I'm sure this is going to add to many shippings and fan art, but that's just a really nice scene, the way they kind of, their sort of relationship has come like full circle and to fruition, and that's really quite nice. And so then for our final bit, we see that the siblings have gotten together all the books. Again, why do they not just buy them off eBay or whatever the fuck? And while they're getting all the books together, Fusion Kid, because their names are too similar to remember, it's not worth it, goes out to a window. His memories are all starting to come back in their own sort of slow time. And we see evil Yuga falling. And I like what goes through his head. Like, he just remembers, this is my brother, this is my family. And, like, we had those happy times, even if it all went wrong. So when he turns around, and again, the mask came off in a scene where it mattered, and he just goes, we can do something about this now. That's kind of cool. And I like the little bit just seeing, like, evil Yuga falling through the sky. Like, the idea that this is not just our big final villain. There's more to this person than just being a dumb antagonist. So that's really neat. And so then the end credits happen, and thankfully we didn't have to sit through the guy who just has like his junk on display all the time. And we get the Romin song with all our iconic Romin scenes of just like weird waifu shit, and then that's it. And the episode's over, and it's good. And I liked it because the characters matter and they're what's important to the show. But what did you think about this episode below? Tell me about that in the comment section. And as for the TCG question of the week, then I haven't talked about Master Duel on this channel much. Mostly because A, I don't have it. And B, I don't really care. But for those of you who do have Master Duel and enjoy it, did you compete in the Xyz Cup? Everyone's been talking about that. I don't know why, but everyone has been. Did you compete? What deck did you play? Did you have fun? Are you enjoying Master Duel as a whole? And as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and join me next time where we finally figure out what the heck, why this is called Sevens, besides it's the 7th anime.